Hello and welcome again to another video, man. My name is Kgosietsile Segongane, and thank you so much for taking your time and your data to tune in on our channel, the Kgosietsile Segongane live show on YouTube, and watch us talking again. Welcome again. Thank you so very much, guys, for watching my last video I did on this man here. Yeah, this one. Yeah, here, Matt Walsh. He's like I said last week, he's a commentator for, can I say, right-wingers, conservative people. They call themselves conservative people in the US. So he's a commentator. He's like, we call them what? Political analysts, something like that. So they called commentators. So he's a commentator and he works for a company called The Daily Wire, which is a Jewish-owned company by Ben Shapiro and other guy. Just forgot his name. And then, like I said last week, I've never heard him talk too much about anything in Gaza or anything about Israel because he knows he'll be fired like that. But anyway, I digress. Fine. So today we're back again on with another video about him now, talking about us. Hey, he was talking about us now this time. He's talking about South Africans, talking about us. Remember those 59 of 9 Afrikaners who left under a cloud of being persecuted? Who left under a cloud of being in danger of their lives? They are really persecuted by us. Remember those people that left this country and they were given refugee status? You know, they were given refugee status as if they are in danger of anything. Remember that? Yeah, those people are in the US. I don't know what are they doing now, but they are there now as we speak. So, yeah. But then he made a video about that. And like I said, I've been dreading to do this video for so long, and I didn't actually want to do it because I think I was going to entertain him more because of what he speaks in this video is something else. What I'm going to do is we are going to play it. I'm going to analyze it bit by bit. Name? It's not going to be the same as you watch the whole video and we talk about it, and I'm going to talk to it. I want to talk with it as it goes. You understand what I'm saying? Because I want us to really capture every moment that he's saying, that we mustn't lose anything. And then please comment as well. Comment below. Tell me what you think about this one. Okay? Tell me what you think about this one. Comment below, and then share, like, subscribe to the channel if you want to. But it will really help us to really push this out there, because people are talking too much about us, black people, and there's no one speaking for us. In this whole video, Mr. Walsh is talking about white people. He's speaking for them, regardless of what language they speak, regardless of their Afrikaners. The whole video is based on white people. White people this, white people have been persecuted. Anti-white this, anti-what. You'll watch it as you go on. And then I would like you to please make sure that you do like, share, subscribe to our channel, and then so we can be able to grow and become big as him. He's got how many subscribers? 3 million. Wow, that's big, eh? We need to get the same as well. But hey, here we are, South African born man in South Africa now. He's just speaking Pretoria. And this is Kgosi FM Studios, as you can see at the back, Kgosi FM Studios. That's where we are recording this from live. So thanks so much again for taking your time and your data to being with us today. So without not much further ado, we're going to go first to talk about our sponsor, Segongane Medical Services and Clinic, and then we will continue right after that commercial. We'll be back after this. This show is brought to you by Segongane Medical Services and Clinic. They are a private clinic situated in number 70 Afrikaners in Westview, Danville. They specialize on the following: primary health care, ailment diagnosis and treatment, including medication, wound care, family planning, well baby clinic, basic ultrasound, laboratory blood services, treatment of chronic illnesses, treatment and management of patients on ARVs, wellness screening, antenatal clinic, HIV services and counseling. They have a pharmacy on site and they are doing CCMDD services as well, OHS clinic, circumcision clinic and abortion services. Their cell phone number is 064 548 7176 or 071 422 8576. Again, the address is 70 Afrikaners in Westview, Pretoria West in Danville. Cell phone number again is 064 548 7176 or 071 422 8576. Yes, this is our sponsor for today, Segongane Medical Services and Clinic. They don't take any medical aid in there, but I feel only cash, which is $350 consultation. The doctor is always available. The sisters are always available. Very beautiful service, I promise you. As I said, I've always been there myself to go and check it out because it's a really good service. So, Bachelor Dry. Number 702 Afrikaners in Westview, Pretoria West in Danville, and then you can find a very good service. Babula from 8 until 7:30 in the evening. So very much convenient. Babula 7 days a week, 6 days a week, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Babuli, but they can open with appointment. So the number, as I said, is 064 548 776 or 071 8576. All right. As I said, we are back with Mr. Walsh again this week. We are going to analyze his video that he made on Afrikaners of this country, because Afrikaners is, those who doesn't know what Afrikaners are. Afrikaners are a white race of South Africa that came here in 1652. That's the first Dutch settlers that came to this country, because Afrikaners is not a race as in like from some, they don't have a country. They came here as the first original white people came here were Dutch. They were from Holland, Netherlands. So as they evolved, they called themselves Afrikaners. I don't know why, but they did. And then they adopted the language Afrikaans. That is a dialect between, that dialect from French, German, and Dutch. So that question is going to come later in the show, where Mr. Walsh is saying, when the lady from CNN said they can actually go back to Germany, and he mocks her by saying he's an imbecile, he's stupid, by actually suggesting that these people are from Germany, whereas their language is literally a dialect from those three European languages: Afrikaans, Dutch, and and French, right? But anyway, that will come later in the show, as you can hear what he says. And then, like I said, I would like you guys to please comment below as well. Tell me what you think about this guy, and tell me exactly what you think about what he says. As I said, I'm not gonna play a video like I used to do. I play a video and then it plays and then we analyze it at the end, because I want blow by blow action until it ends. So we're gonna do that today, and I hope that you guys can be with me as we start talking about Mr. Walsh. And we're gonna start, like I said, we're gonna stop this video as it goes, and then we're gonna analyze whatever point that is gonna make. So those two like on your screen now, the lady, the African lady, she is CNN anchor. I don't know her name. And then the other one, this one is I don't know if that's no, that's the one. Ashley Allison is the guy, the white guy. No, the lady actually is Ashley Allison, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. She was a Obama senior advisor before. And the guy sitting next to is another conservative. I just forgot his name as well. I apologize for that. I will look for that name. He's a conservative as well. He is a very pro-Zionist, pro-Israel, very racist, very white, as Matt Walsh. So this was a debate about these people. Remember when Trump was opening up doors and said these guys must come, and this is the guys that were debating this thing, that why is he letting white people or white South Africans to come through when he stopped immigration that was already approved by Biden about everybody else, but then he stops all of that, but then he is opening and rushing the admission of Afrikaners into the US. So this was the debate that was done by these people, and this one was invited. So as I said, we're going to start the video there, because that's where Mr. Walsh starts his video, and he starts his video there, and then he is trying to analyze what is happening and all that. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna continue, and then I will, like I said, we're going to stop this video as it plays, and then we are just going to be analyzing, and now we know, like one-on-one, analyzing what they're saying. So let's take a listen.
So if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No. They can
These refugees are coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is.
The message is that there is literally no place on earth that white people can claim as a legitimate homeland. A white man is native to nowhere. He is indigenous to nowhere. Try to imagine that you run South Africa. You're in charge of the African National Congress, not exactly an enviable position. Your country has the highest unemployment rate in the entire world since the end of apartheid, which was supposedly the greatest evil to ever befall mankind. A lot of bad things have been happening. The power grid has collapsed along with the export markets and any semblance of public safety. Headlines like this one are common. As you can see, it reads, Grandmother 71 dies of shock after she was forced to watch her 3 granddaughters being raped at gunpoint at her home in South Africa. And there's plenty more where that came from, because you have turned your country into the living embodiment of DEI to disastrous results. And then, to your horror, the President of the United States decides to shine an international spotlight on your incompetence. He makes it impossible to hide what's going on in South Africa. Specifically, the president allows white citizens of South Africa to flee to the U.S. so they can escape all the anti-white violence and race-based land seizures that you've implemented in your failing country.
Okay. He has said a mouthful there, and I'm going to try to analyze bit by bit on that one. Okay. There is no anti-whiteness in this country, because white people who are still staying here, they are the most richest people you can ever find in this continent. They still controls the economy. They still controls a lot of companies that is actually in the stock exchange, J Stock Exchange in Johannesburg. They still own most of the land. They still live in leafy, beautiful suburbs, whereas black people are living in squatter camps. You call them ghettos in America. We call them squatter camps, or we call them townships here in South Africa. So they still live in those kind of conditions, which was created by the very same white people that you say they are fleeing South Africa. Let's give it context. 49 people that claim to be persecuted, they are not farmers, Mr. Walsh. They were never farmers. None of them are farmers. They all live in places like Brakpan or Benoni in Johannesburg. There were white suburbs before, but since 94, black people were now allowed to move into those places where supposed to be only white people living there. So most of them are poor. They don't have anything. They are not farmers. They ran to the US because they wanted a better life and wanted to create this narrative that they've been persecuted in South Africa. No white person is being persecuted in this country as we speak. Every white person in this country, they're still living in privilege that they got in apartheid. And when you refer to apartheid as supposedly, have you ever lived in this country, sir, during apartheid? Have you ever lived in here? But you know what segregation is all about. Your ancestors enforced it in the South, in America. Your ancestors made sure that black people will never get anywhere in life. Hence, you don't see this wrong when it's done on people. You know, so apartheid for us was to say to my father, you can't be educated like a white person because you are black. You can't have a nice car, you can't have a nice life, you can't have a nice job, you can't have anything nice because you are simply black. Not because you can't do anything for yourself, not because you can't think, not because you can't get educated, but because of the color of your skin, you cannot compete and be the same as a white person. That's what apartheid was all about in this country, sir. If you have bothered to take some few minutes to just, research a little bit and talk, and just ask people, come here. Don't go to Kenya and talk to the Maasai about transgenderism. Come here and ask us, hey, Kgosi, what do you think of apartheid? How was apartheid, my brother? And I will tell you how apartheid was. It was a terrible system that, made us, most of our some of us are lucky enough to escape it and be able to come to a place like Gauteng, which is the most developed province in our country, to come here and try to make it work so that my kids must not endure or live the way I lived. You understand what I'm saying? So for you to sit there in America, you don't have no idea what apartheid is all about. You have no idea. But I know you're a hypocrite. And why I'm saying hypocrite, because there was segregation in the US. And your ancestors say they're the ones who actually was pushing that on black people. So you do know what you're talking about. But just because you think the color of your skin is a passport to making other people live terribly, you sit there in your high ivory tower and you say supposedly a crime that befall mankind. Yes, it was. It wasn't supposedly. It was a system that made sure no black man, no black family will ever be successful as a white person in this country. The very same so-called fleeing refugees, they are the ones who benefited from that system. They're the ones who voted for it. They're the ones who said they want the system to be in this country so that they can be the only ones on top. And we as black people must always be on the bottom, sir. I mean, for me, it's so amazing that a whole 40-year-old man like yourself can't even fathom to take his expensive iPad, I'm sure you have one, or your expensive iPhone with your free internet to just research, to know something. To take a simple flight from wherever you are, in Nashville maybe, and you fly just here. No, don't go to Cape Town, because Cape Town, that's where white people are still ruling as we speak, by the way. They still own Cape Town. They still make us feel that you're not part of this Cape Town. They still want Cape Town to be independent state in our own home, in our own country. But if only you took time, Mr. Walsh, to just to come here and see the apartheid museum, and to see and to hear from black people what actually happened to like during apartheid, and just to see the difference between us and them today, 2025, maybe you will change your mind. But because your mind is full of hate, sir, your mind is a mind of a white supremacist, you don't give a shit about other people but except yourself. Hence, you berate and say white people don't have anywhere to call home. No, they do actually. They've got Europe. They left Europe and to conquer other lands. Your ancestors left Europe to go to the Americas and destroy the Red Indians. Others, they came here. The British came here. The so-called Afrikaners came here from Holland. They went to as far as Australia. They went as far as New Zealand, and they destroyed those cultures. And they took over those countries. They took Canada. They took New Zealand. They took Australia. They made them all white nations. They tried to take this country, but we resisted. Say, that's what happened during apartheid. Okay? South Africa might not be as perfect as it's supposed to have been because of all the sanctions that and everything else that made us never to succeed on our own. The only difference between us and other African countries is that we let our colonizers stay with us. We didn't chase them out like the others did. We should have done that in 94. But we said, no. Let's reconcile and be a rainbow nation. And try to work with our own haters, people who doesn't want to see us successful in any shape or form. Okay, sir? So that is exactly what happened in this country, that you don't know of, that you never took time to research and just to empower yourself. Give yourself some knowledge of saying, no, but guys, what is this apart? What actually happened? Was it the same as what happened in the South? In America? Was it the same that happened anywhere else where blacks were never given any opportunity? Why, if I may ask you, sir, why do you have ghettos in America and you have suburbs for white people? Why do you have ghettos for blacks and suburbs for white people? Maybe if you can answer me that will be easy. Instead of just sitting there and talking nonsense about supposedly, how can you say a crime that was being declared by the UN as a crime against humanity, you say supposedly? Like you don't give a damn. And you are sitting there trying to defend people that actually they are the worst people. You guys will find out soon. You'll find out very soon how these guys are. You will find out very soon. They are lazy. They are incompetent. We do everything for them. We raised them, literally raised them. My parents, my mother was a maid, was a domestic worker. He worked for their kitchens. My father was a gardener. So I do know where this thing come from. We literally raised white kids. We raised ourselves. That's why we're so tough as Africans. We raised ourselves. But our parents raised these kids. Because your parents could not be able to raise their own kids because they were so incompetent. Okay? So just to summarize all that you just said now, sir. So I'm just going to... where does this thing go? We're just going to continue with this one. And hey, Mr. Walsh, for me really to sit here, gentlemen and ladies, and try to talk to this person and try to make sense of whatever he says, it really gets to me. Because at the end of the day, white supremacists like himself will never get it. And they'll never understand exactly how and where we went. Because for them, our black fears, not tears, our black tears actually, and our black pain is nothing. It's just us talking too much. But they are supposedly made up whiteness and white genocide and anti-whiteness. We are supposed to ravel around. It's like one kind of people that I will never mention in this because they're not gonna play my video on YouTube. But you know them, the New Jersey of the Middle East. Yeah, those ones, their pain is much more than other people's pain. And the color of their skin is the same as his. So, go figure. Let's continue this thing.
National Congress, not exactly an enviable position. Your country has the highest unemployment rate in the entire world. Since the end of apartheid, which was supposedly the greatest evil to ever befall mankind, a lot of bad things have been happening.
The reason why we have so much high unemployment rate in this country is because, one, the companies that are still here are still white-owned. So they rather employ foreigners who are exploited for their labor and who are not paid according to the laws of this country instead of South Africans. That is why there's so much high unemployment. And when the ANC took over, so let me just give you this little lesson. When the ANC took over, this country was bankrupt. There was no money. The very white people that ran to your country to say they are being victims of anything else, they ran with billions of rent. Rent is our currency here. They ran with billions and billions and billions of rent to make sure they collapse our economy and they collapse the country so that it mustn't recover. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is why there's so much high unemployment in this country because of that. Not because ANC has destroyed the economy. No, the economy was already destroyed. Now the ANC had a very big task. The big task of really pulling 80%, not even 80%, 90% of the population that was impoverished generations after generation. From when you guys came to this country, they had to pull these people out from the bottom up. You have to start with housing, education, infrastructure, everything that you denied, that your white people that ran to you denied us because we were black. Not because you were incompetent, not because you didn't want to go to school, but because we were just black. And the way God made me, I can't change that. I hope you understand that, sir. I can't change that. And then that is the reason, the whole reason why there's so much high unemployment in South Africa. It's not because the ANC destroyed the country, no. And the other reason is that the ANC came and then, like I said, they found a very shambled economy, a destroyed economy. And they had to rebuild this thing from scratch. You understand what I'm saying? And the very so-called competent white people ran away from this country because they thought it would collapse us. And we have to beg them to come back. When we didn't beg them to come back, they stayed and they came back anyway because they could not practice their supremacy on other countries. Ask the Australians. They will tell you that they don't want these motherfuckers there because they're full of shit. They're full of entitlement. They think that they own everything. Your other white supremacist regrets giving an Afrikaner family refugee status in his own house because they can't even do nothing. That's what he said. And he regrets ever calling them to come there. So, yeah. Let's continue this thing.
Our grid has collapsed along with the export markets and any semblance of public safety. Headlines.
Yeah, just to answer the grid collapsing. Okay, one thing for sure. Imagine like in a situation where 100% of people, right? But only 20% or 10% of people are given lights, electricity like we have now. And the other 80 or 90 doesn't have lights. Now the new government comes. When it comes, it now allows everybody to have that electricity. The grid won't last. And you cannot just build a power station overnight. It's going to take years. The very so-called competent white people who are working on those stations, they sabotage them deliberately to make sure that the country fails. That's what a colonizer does when they leave a place. They want to destroy whatever that they bought so that there mustn't be any development, and then they'll say, you see, they can't maintain. They sabotaged the very same infrastructure that we had. And then what do you expect when somebody has been running something for years and then a new person comes and say, listen, let's work together. And they say, no, I can't. And then they went, sit there and they fold their arms. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? So that is the reason why Eskom is struggling to give us lights, because everybody now has electricity. Not only a selected few Afrikaners who are supposed to be victims now. When they went to their homes and switched on the lights, they didn't give a fuck for a black person is sitting in the dark or sitting in a candlelight. I don't even know candles. Yeah, those things. Or a paraffin light. They didn't care. They cared for their own being to say, we are privileged, we are fine. And then you come in and say these things, sir. Yeah.
Like this one, are common. As you can see, it reads, grandmother 71 dies of shock after she was forced to watch her 3 granddaughters being raped at gunpoint at her home in South Africa. And there's plenty more where that came from because...
That's a lie. That one is a headline of what we call crime, sir. I don't know if the US doesn't have any crime, but it's crime. Crime doesn't have color. Crime doesn't have culture. Crime is crime. Crime affects everybody. So don't say that. Don't try to act as if the US doesn't have any crime statistics or doesn't have any crime to speak of. Because everywhere in the world, there is crime. You might be able to hide yours very nicely, that they mustn't show your incompetence and mustn't show your the way your government is, but don't come nitpick on headlines and say these are common. They're not common. It's called crime, nothing else.
You have turned your country into the living embodiment of DEI to disastrous results. And then, to your horror, the President of the United States decides to shine an international spotlight on your incompetence. He makes it impossible to hide what's going on in South Africa. Specifically, the president allows white citizens of South Africa.
What happened there when Trump invited President Ramaphosa was on stupid false reports. Remember when he took out those pictures? He took out one that was a disaster in was it Congo? Yeah, where people were buried there and then they were exhumed. He took it as a farm murder. They didn't even research, his own research team. A whole US president went on national television to purport a lie. And you say he was shining a spotlight? He was given a video of crosses along the road that was taken, that was just a memorial, not even graves. And he was told that, hey, that president, those were grave sites of white people there. It was a memorial. Those things were taken after 15 minutes. They were taken down after 15 minutes. After that video was shot, they were taken down. That's why our president didn't know where that place, because it doesn't exist. So he didn't shine any spotlight. He actually went on national television in front of his millions of people in America, a white president, and he just purported a lie that you yourself could not even go and say, no, Mr. President, that's actually not true. There's no place like this in South Africa. But that's why Ramaphosa didn't know where that place was. I didn't blame him because he didn't know, because there's nothing like that in South Africa. And he was told, you're Trump, that those were actual graves of white people.
Africa to flee to the U.S. so they can escape all the anti-white violence and race-based land seizures that you've implemented in your failing country. And unsurprisingly, a lot of white people take the United States up on the offer. They decide that it's better to uproot their entire families and fly halfway across the world.
Because they didn't have nothing to do. Those people are staying in Brakpan. Most of them are working minimum jobs like us. Minimum wage paying jobs like us. Many of them are car guards. I don't know what you call them in the US, but people who are usually guiding cars in malls, many of those people are like that. They are not farmers. They don't own any property. They are just poor whites who could not make it in this country because now things are equal. And then they took you on your offer, your gullibility as Americans to say, oh no, white people have been put. Yeah, let's take them in. They took you on that gullibility. Hey, they saw a loophole to get out of this country, to go back to go somewhere else where they will be, I don't know, where they'll practice whatever that they're practicing. They're not farmers, man. They're not doing anything protecting this country. Hence, only 49 people out of how much? 2 million? 2 million, I think. Yeah. Only 49 of them left. Why not the whole country? Why not the whole white people living in droves to the US? Huh? And there's one rich man that was in that Oval Office last time. His name is, what's his name? Rupert. Why is he not joining the 49? Because he's a multi-billionaire of this country and he's white. What about him? I mean, if white people are being persecuted so much in this country, why was he not part of the group that is really going to get asylum or refugee status in your country? Why? Because there's nothing like that, sir. There's nothing like that. Anyway, let's continue.
Then to spend another second under your rule in South Africa. Now, if you have an ounce of shame, that would have to be extremely monumentally embarrassing. I mean, there are politicians.
No, it's not actually embarrassing because it's for 9 people who could not stand being equal to other people. It's not. Actually, we wanted them to leave, a lot of them. Believe me. We wanted them to go because we are tired of these people trying to be victims of their own making. They created apartheid We didn't. They created all the so-called race-based laws you're always purporting about to make sure that my father and his father will never amount to anything. They created those themselves to make sure they're going to be superior above us. So now when the chickens are back to roost, they are crying victim again. They're crying victim. Oh my God, no, we cannot do this. Hey, this is not so. We didn't ask them to do that. They did it on their own. Mr. Walsh, on their own. I mean, this guy speaks as if 1,000 people left this country, like 10,000, 100,000. Why are others still here? Why are white people still in this country today? Why? If there's so much persecution of white people, why are they here still? I want to repeat this again. Anyone in that group is not a farmer. None of them are farmers. They are lying to you. None of them are farmers. None of them own any land, own any farm. They don't.
In Japan, who would quite literally commit like ritualistic suicide under those circumstances. The job of any government is to look after the well-being of its own people.
Yeah, that's what the ANC tried to do. They tried to look out for the well-being of everybody, including the very same Afrikaners. But they couldn't handle the fact that they're not equal to black people. Hence, now they're crying refugee status. Hence, now they're lying to you, stupid ass, to say, no, Mr. Walsh, we've been persecuted. No, they're not. They are the most self-inflicted victims I've ever met in my life. They are. They are the worst you can ever have in this country, believe you me. Like I said earlier, you will see for yourselves. You will find out soon what we are talking about in this country. And we don't want them back. Please keep them. When you find out, do not bring them back here.
And once the most productive members of society start leaving at great personal cost to themselves.
Well, there were never any productive members of society. If you can look at that picture and that video, none of them are professors, none of them are farmers, none of them are electricians, like they are these highest people that are, none of them are. No, not these ones. Those ones are still staying here, enjoying their money. That is more than black people today. Those ones, they're in parliament. Ministers, white ministers are there. He took one white minister for culture to the US. They are here enjoying the still ill-gotten wealth of apartheid. None of the productive members of society, you have been lied to. None of them are in that 49 shame. Believe you me. Do your research, sir. Come on, you are white, man. You're supposed to be intelligent than me. Supposedly.
Then you have failed as a leader and as a government. You are illegitimate. And you have no one else to blame.
Just because you don't kiss white people's asses, now we have failed? No, when I leave. Listen to me. 94, Mr. Walsh. Let me just go to this camera here. 94, they left. When South Africa became a democracy, they left. They literally left, thinking they're going to collapse us. We're still here, bruh. Like they left, literally. White people left this country. They went to Australia. They went to the US. They thought they will collapse us. We're still here. Those that were actually productive members of society, they left. But you know what? When they get there, they are no longer supreme. They are no longer in England. They don't want them in England because they think that they can just get there and still live the same way as they lived here. Because their culture is of segregation, their culture is of hate, their culture is of, they just want to separate themselves from everybody. Discrimination, apartheid, and all those things. So when they get to the other side of the world, they found, here, we actually, as blacks here or any other person beside white, is actually empowered over me. And I miss my mates, I miss my gardeners, I miss calling people kafirs, I miss that supremacy in South Africa. I'm going back. And they came. They came back because they could not handle the real life, which we had to endure for years under their rule.
And you should resign in shame at the absolute minimum. But the African National Congress has decided on the opposite course of action. Rather than engage in any kind of introspection They decided to attack the white refugees who have just fled to America. They're not showing any interest in keeping any of the remaining Afrikaners from fleeing, even though they're responsible for maintaining.
None of them has fled. None of the Afrikaners have fled. And only if you know one thing. There's an organization here called AfriForum. The very people who started this whole refugee thing, none of them have gone to the US. They're still here, enjoying their money. Go figure. Ask yourself why. They're the ones who ran to your government and say, yeah, we've been persecuted. And then Trump says, come. They did not leave. They didn't leave. They're here, enjoying South Africa. And the poor ones left. 50 of them said.
The vast majority of usable farmland in the country. They're also not interested in contesting the notion that white people are going to be persecuted in their country. Instead, the African National Congress released this statement the other day. As you can see, the statement reads, quote, "They flee not from persecution, but from justice, equality, and accountability for historic privilege."
Which is true. They cannot handle the fact that now everybody can be as equal to them. They can't handle the fact that a black man has a studio like this and can talk so freely to them. They can't handle the fact that a black man can earn more money than them. They can't handle the fact that now they can become our mates or our gardeners. This studio is maintained by a white person. And I don't give a fuck because he's a friend of mine. He's an Afrikaner himself. And he knows what they've done to us. And now he's working for a black man. So they don't want to accept that part that says, listen, this is your life now. They can't handle that part of saying now they're equal to other people. They cannot handle that one. For them, that is terrible. We can't. We are supreme. We're supposed to be above these people. We cannot live with these people. We can't live next door to them. We can't do this. Yeah. Unfortunately, it has happened. Not that much as you liked, but yes. So there's no persecution of any white person in this country. There is none. There is zero persecution of any white person in this country. Persecuted how? By being equal to me? By not have to share a bus with me? Now they have to share a bank with me? Is that persecution? Now they have to actually know how is it like to be poor? Is that persecution to you, sir? I mean, really, Matt Walsh, come on, man. You're supposed to be wiser than this.
The statement goes on to describe the refugees as cowardly and says that they are offended by a democratic society working to redress past injustices.
Yes. Past injustices simply means, one, our land was taken from us. We were given apartheid system of governments. We were put into reserves like Botswana and others. We were put in townships, poor, no infrastructure, no sewage, no sanitation, whereas they enjoyed the best of sanitation in this country. They enjoyed the best of everything, the best of food, the best of high standard of living, nice houses, good jobs, careers, going to school, and all those. And we were destined to become poor and poor and poor just because our skin color was black. Not because we cannot do the jobs, not because you didn't want to go to school, but because our skin color was dark. That is why. So for them now to actually share a bank with me or to share a bus with me, that's something, I can't do that. I'm too white for that. I am too white for that. I cannot see myself in the same queue in ShopRite with a black person. They still do the same thing today. You go to the suburbs in Pretoria East, Pretoria East, Pretoria North, where they're still having some power. Centurion here, you can see that they don't want us in their malls. They don't want us, but they don't have a choice at the moment because now the law says everybody is equal in this country. They don't want to see that. Hence, they lied to you and they manipulated you and said, oh, we're persecuted, please help.
Then there's this concluding line, which really sells the message. Quote, "Ours is not a broken or failing state. It's a people's democracy advancing against the tides of distortion and destructive, divisive narratives," close quote.
Exactly. The reason why they said that was because the very same Afrikaners, when they get to the US, they badmouth us. South Africa is broken. South Africa is this. Hey, we cannot. No, just say, listen, blacks are not equal to us, so you can't handle it. Don't lie and say South Africa is this, South Africa is that. Blacks are now equal to us. We can't handle it. We can't handle this thing. We can't really live with these people. They are too equal to us. We used to be in the cream of the crop. Now we have to share that cream with them. We used to stay next to each other as white people only, but now I have to have a black person with a Mercedes Benz, and his house is bigger than mine, and his kids now go to my kids' school, but actually they go to the better school that was supposed to be ours. That is what they're running away from. Hence, most of them are put in the south of your country, which is still discriminating as fuck to black people. That's why most of them chose to go there, because they think if they get there, they'll find people like you that are still white supremacists, that are still segregatory minded, you know, for them to feel at home. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Well, this is one of those, those things that's less true for having been said, as the saying goes. If you're running a highly functional, stable country, then you're not going to end your press release out of nowhere by declaring that you're not a broken or failing state. No state that isn't a failing state has ever had to clarify in a statement that they aren't a failing state.
That is your opinion, sir. That is not rocket science. That's not even in the books. That's your opinion. You should have just said, in my opinion. Don't say this fact. Many countries in the world have been declared as broken by other people. The country, to defend itself, it has to sell itself as the best country ever. That's why that statement says we are not a failing state, as other people have said we are. Because they wanted to buy your love. They wanted to buy your affection. They wanted to lie to you that much that, you know what, you fell for it. Literally, you fell for it.
And it's like walking up to your wife unprompted and announcing that you're not having an affair. But none of these people are especially bright, so they're not aware of the implications of what they're saying, no matter how obvious those implications might be. It also explains why, in effect, their message is essentially an explicit threat to every white person in South Africa.
We have the DA, which is the mostly white party. Are we a threat to them? How about every white person in this country? What the hell is he speaking about? Only 54 people left, man. If we were a threat to every white person, they should have left all of them. Don't you think? You should have made 4, 5, 6 trips maybe to pick them up, and thousands are supposed to be in the US today, progressing. But millions are still in this country today. Why? If you're such a threat to them, they should have left 94, all of them. But only who left were those who think they still want to keep their white supremacy, and they are failing in other parts of the country. I'm telling you, in other parts of the world, they are coming back. They will creep in this country, and we're going to find them, and we're going to expose them in these shows like this. Hey, you said you're going to run away to the US. Now why are you back? Because you thought there is going to be more nicer than here because you're going to be white again. No.
And they're also attempting to coax the refugees back with a promise of giving them the opportunity to be held accountable for historical injustices. They're basically saying, hey guys, can you come back so we can persecute you? This isn't fair. We were going to persecute you and then you left. That's not fair.
No, that's been stupid. That's just been dumb. Like, we never did that. 94 we had what we call the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where I think Mandela just wanted to be seen to be doing something for us, where there was hearings where people are confessing what they've done in apartheid, and they were asking for forgiveness from the families of those people that they killed, especially mostly from the security branch, the police, who were killing people, who were white police, who were killing mass people, black people in this country. That TRC it lasted for a long time, but it didn't really achieve much. And we let it go as black people. We actually said, listen, it's fine. Let's live together. It's not a problem. Let's live together. It's okay. Let's build this rainbow nation that Mandela wanted. And we continued up until today. But now we have people like you, and we have people like them who still feels that they still want to be superior above us. after we forgave them and let them stay with us. You know, one thing that I like about what Nkosana Dlamini Zuma said one day, she said, you know, the difference between us and other countries is that we let our colonizers live with us. That's the thing. That's the only difference that we had with them. We let our colonizers live with us. We still have them. Other African countries, they expelled every white person. They said, literally go out of our country. No country in this earth, in this continent, has white opposition leaders, has white farmers, has anything. None of them. We are the only country in this continent that actually said we are going to embrace our enemies and our persecutors, literally giving them the other cheek, like your Bible says. So don't lie to your people, man, your how many millions of followers and subscribers, by literally saying that it's not true. Lying about us is not true. Do not do that. Do not do that.
Now, with this statement, they are validating everything the Trump administration says about the country. No person of any race should be subjected to land seizures or violence as part of a accountability for historic privilege, whatever the heck that means.
Okay.
But that's
land seizures. Like, I'm going to go back to the 49 people. None of them had land to be seized in the first place. None of them had land to be seized in the first place. I don't know if your country, they're supposed to be the number one due diligence that they can do. I don't know if they could do that. They should have done that, like to get the truth of who these people are before they can actually embarrass themselves. They should have done that, Mr. Walsh, instead of sending you to say all what you're saying, because you're saying nonsense. Because first and foremost, the land was first seized by the very same white government in this country to give it to them, to the so-called white farmers. Land Act of 1913 say, go Google it. Literally Google it. The Land Act of 1913 literally says they're going to declare parts of the country. They're going to remove people forcefully from their country, from their land, and put white people there. Literally. And it happened. Sophia Town, Lady Selborne here in Pretoria. When they were creating Soshanguve, they were creating Atteridgeville, they were creating Mamelodi. They literally uprooted black people from a piece of land, and they put white people there. And they said this is a white area. So when you say no government, I hope you mean the ones who these people ruled for over us for a long time. When they said that, I hope you mean that as well. You don't mean these crybabies that are crying for nothing. We never took nothing from them. They took everything from us. We took nothing from them.
the government of South Africa is now demanding by their own admission. And it's what the political left is demanding in this country, too. In the days since the first 59 white refugees arrived from South Africa, political commentators on the left have been melting down to a degree that's truly hard to comprehend, even given everything we already know about these people. What we're seeing is primal rage and hysteria. I mean, it's a level of anti-white race hatred that needs to be exposed, or else very soon, we're going to start to look a lot like South Africa. So let's start with Don Lemon, who no longer has the need to temper his passion for a white genocide now that he's not on cable news. Not that cable news personalities are tempering it very much, as we'll see later on. But anyway, here's Don Lemon.
This South African farmer, which is the most blatantly obvious racist ever. It is blatantly obvious the way that we treat white South Africans, who are, by the way, for the most part, and I am generalizing here, some of the wealthiest people are well-to-do people in the country. They speak their language. They're not just taking land away from white South African farmers. White South Africans, about 9% of the population, owned 87% of the fertile land. Okay? Today, Black South Africans make up more than 90% of the population, and they only hold about 4% of all privately owned land. So what they're trying to do is say, hey, we need to fix an historical injustice and figure out if you're not using that land to farm, then we need to have some of that land, not taking all of your entire farm. That's not what's happening. And we need to what? There needs to be equity. And now people are crying because the playing field is being leveled. And so therefore it is now discrimination.
Which is true, by the way. He actually put it so nicely, I don't know what to say anymore. But I think actually he put it very nicely, Don Lemon, on this one to say, that's how it is. You know, we never say we're going to take anybody's land. We didn't do Zimbabwe style. Zimbabwe, they had a Lancaster agreement with Britain that in 2000, I think, all the land will be put back to the hands of black people. They agreed. When the time comes, Zimbabwe says yes, and they said no. This is our land, we bought it. Like this what fool's going to say now. He's going to say they bought the land. I don't know from who. That's when Mugabe took the land by force. We are saying to them, listen, you can't have a huge property that is still lying there, fellow. When people don't have houses, where people don't have jobs, people don't have anything to sustain themselves, and you have 3 to 4 or 5 farms, and none of them are even working. Only maybe one works or 2 works. The rest don't even do anything. There's just open land, piece of open land does nothing. So we need that land to put houses there, to put schools, to put clinics, because a lot of our black people don't have those things. And then you cry discrimination, like Don Lemon said. That's exactly what we said. When we talk about land expropriation without compensation, we're not saying you're going to kick you out of your house and say, get out. If we wanted to do that, we could have done that in 94. We could have taken those houses out. We could have taken those whatever businesses that they were having. We could have taken all those things in 94. We didn't do that. We let them stay with us here in this country, be equal to us. But now they are crying, victim, oh my God, we've been persecuted because we are equal to black people now. We cannot handle being equal to you. We can't handle staying in the same, like I said, the same bus as you. We can't handle you now living next door to me, but you're more successful than me. We can't handle that. We are white. You're supposed to be more powerful than you. We're supposed to be more superior than you, like we've been taught. This is what this person here, this one here, has been taught. That's what he's been taught, that he's superior than anybody else. His pale skin makes him more superior than anybody else, which is a lie. It's a pity that he actually believes it, and I hope that his kids are not going to be the same as him. Because if they are, shame.
Okay, so notice what is being said here. Notice he says that white people own most of the fertile land in South Africa.
They do. They do. 87% of this land is owned by them. Go to Cape Town and see the wine farms. Shit.
The word fertile is doing a lot of work there. Because if you know anything about farmland, even if you don't know anything about it, you should still know that it's possible to ruin it. I mean, it's possible to do a very bad job of maintaining it. And it's not as though you could just give a farm to a random person off the street and rest assured that it's going to be fertile in 10 years. And we know that for a few reasons. First of all, it's common sense. Second, Zimbabwe already tried this. Several decades ago, they made the decision to seize farms from whites, give them to black citizens. After all, what could go wrong? Well, Zimbabwe was the breadbasket of Africa, supposedly. Well, as it turns out, a lot can go wrong, like a whole lot. And
okay. Oh, no, let me give him a chance to finish. I'll come in.
Before long, Zimbabwe needed to import food because they couldn't make their own. And eventually, the government gave up on the idea. They gave the farmland back to the white people. This is a Bloomberg News article from a few years ago. Quote, Zimbabwe gives land back to white farmers after wrecking economy. 2 decades after President Robert Mugabe wrecked Zimbabwe's economy by urging black subsistence farmers to violently force white commercial farmers and their workers off the land, his successor has thrown in the towel. The seizures that began in 2000 were ratified by the government, which said they were needed to redress colonial imbalances. A vibrant agricultural industry that exported tobacco and roses and grew most of the food the nation needed collapsed. Periodic food shortages ensued, inflation became the world's highest, and the manufacturing industry was decimated. What was one of Africa's richest countries became one of its poorest, close quote.
Okay, let me address that on Zimbabwe because many people don't understand what actually happened. Like I said earlier, there was an agreement called the Lancaster. Please Google it and just read the damn report, and you tell me what you think. There's a Lancaster agreement that between Zimbabwe and the British, right? That listen, by the year 2000, I believe, you guys must have given back the land, or at least some of it. to black people that's supposed to own it. They said, like, it's fine, we'll do that. The time came, they said, okay, now where is the land? And it's like, no. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And you know what happened? Mugabe said, okay, fine. I'm going to take the land by force. He did. He chased the white people out. He put the very workers of that farm, he put them there to continue working. But you know what the problem is? We've got very spiteful white race in this world. The Caucasians are very spiteful. And then Britain sanctioned Zimbabwe, America sanctioned Zimbabwe. Each and every Western country that's doing business with white people in this country, in Zimbabwe, they sanctioned Zimbabwe. They made sure that they will never export anything that was being produced in those farms. Remember, it's not the white farmer who's doing the manual labor. Then the normal work, it's not a white farmer who's doing that. It's the black farm people. I remember 2007, I was in George. George is a small place here in Western Cape that is still trying to be whites only, but they are failing. I was in a dairy farm, a huge farm, owned by a boy, man, a small boy. I think that boy is younger than me. That's what we call privilege, sir. You're saying what is privilege? That. Man, that guy, I don't know how many times I see him milk those cows a day. Now, there is this guy in there, and he's a supervisor of sorts. He's a supervisor, he's a foreman. I don't know what you call foreman in America, but here they call foreman, like supervisor of sorts, or a manager, let me say. Not even a farm manager, but just under the farm manager, because the farm manager must be white in this country. This guy has no formal education, he's got no matric, he's got nothing. But his knowledge of those cows. And I was standing with him somewhere, and we were standing in what we call Moraka in Setswana, but it's an encampment of calves only. Because those cows, they make babies, and then his job is to remove those babies away and put them in those encampments, and he feeds them. So this guy knows everything. He knows everything from what kind of a cow is this, what's supposed to be done when he's doing this, how much must he be fed. This guy's like a walking encyclopedia. He's like a walking encyclopedia of dairy farming. He knows maybe even more than the owner, which I believe he does actually. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, Ivan, this guy really knows his stuff. And do you know how much this guy's getting paid? And this includes overtime, when he's really worked over Sundays and whatnot. Do you know how much he gets paid? 1,500 rands. Let me just translate it into US dollars, and you tell me how much you think this is. 1,500 rands. That's what this guy gets as his salary. Let me do this quickly. Rand to dollar, and I'm going to say 1,500 rands in South African rands, which translates to $87.45. 87 fucking dollars, 45 cents. Literally. Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, there we go. $85. That's what this guy gets. And he knows more. So Zimbabwe took the very workers. It's a lie. Bloomberg is a British thing. It's a British newspaper, or America, if I'm not mistaken. So they will always lie to perpetuate whatever stereotype they want to push. The very workers of that farm said to them, no, we want to work this farm ourselves. We divide amongst ourselves and we work it ourselves. And they didn't like that. So they sanctioned Zimbabwe, they sanctioned the government officials, they sanctioned everything that was supposed to be exported. And they even sanctioned them selling in Africa, because most of their companies that are in Africa still today, they are white-owned and British-controlled or American-controlled. So we couldn't even buy from each other. I mean, Africa is so huge, they could have bought stuff from Zimbabwe and did ourselves, but we don't own factories, remember? We don't own manufacturing. We don't own anything. So if you're going to target the country, you're going to target the country and don't buy what they're selling, you're going to destroy the country. So the economy of Zimbabwe was not destroyed because they were incompetent to run it. They were destroyed because they couldn't sell anything. They couldn't import anything, they couldn't sell anything. Africans were able to feed themselves before you guys came here. It's not like you came to teach us how to make food. You didn't come out to teach us how to plow our fields. We had land. You took it away and you made it yours. The only thing is that they could not sell anything outside. That is why they were sanctioned. That is why the economy of Zimbabwe collapsed, Mr. Walsh. It didn't collapse because they were incompetent and they could not do anything. No, it collapsed because they were sanctioned. And for them, Mnangagwa, for him now to fall and say, listen, okay, guys, come back, is because he wanted to please the West so they can lift sanctions from him and his family to travel to the US and anywhere else in Britain. He wanted to please them so they can lift traveling bans that was on any official of Zimbabwe and himself, Mnangagwa. Not because of they could not really maintain a farm that they're working on. No, man. Because they could not travel anywhere. They could not do anything. They could not do any private business with anybody. So they had to give something back. And it's not even all the farmers, but it's only like, 2 or 3 farmers who came. Because I only saw 2-3 stories of that. Not all of the farmers. Next time, Mr. Walsh, just check your facts and just go and do, Google. Hey, you've got I can see in front of you, there's this, is it a laptop? Open the damn thing, just go to Google. It will tell the truth.
Okay, so in other words, it turns out that when you use the government to redistribute fertile farmland to correct some alleged injustice, what you get is famine. Okay, that's what equity means in practice.
No. What it simply means is that when you make things equal between black and whites in your country, that equals famine. And when you say supposedly injustice, do you know what apartheid is? Do you know what these people did to us? Have you ever come to this country and asked us, oh, guys, what happened? Why was this happening? Have you ever done that? No, you haven't done that. You sit in an ivory tower in America and know nothing about this country or this continent, like to say the least. You've got no idea. Actually, you do have an idea, but just that because you are white supremacist, you don't really give a fuck. You don't give a damn. You don't give a damn what we do. You don't give a damn how we live our lives. You don't. So long as your white precious people are not touched, they are given their own privileges. They're being made to be gods in our midst. They can come and take my land and impoverish me and make sure that I'm a slave. So long as your white people are okay, to hell with these Africans. You know, every black person who's going to watch this, you guys must be ashamed if you're still voting for the DA in this country. You should be. Because you've got these people that are still in this world today, 2024. This guy is 40 years. I'm 46. I'm older than him. He's a kid. He's like my nephew. My nephew is 85. 84, actually. Yeah. My nephew literally is 40 years like him. He knows nothing. Actually, I think he knows everything, but because he's just a white supremacist, doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a damn. Anyway, let's continue.
It's what always happens when you take land from people who are managing it properly and redistribute it on the basis of race.
They were managing it properly. They're very blacks. Because they're the ones who actually work in the land and plowing those tobacco, those roses. They are the ones who are picking those roses up and putting them the way they're supposed to be put to sell in the international market. But because no white person was in charge, the whole market closed down. And those roses are sitting there, that tobacco is sitting there, no one can buy it, it can be sold anyway. That is why. And when you say on the basis of race, the very first concept of land theft was based on race. They took the land from us based on race.
Competence matters, especially when you're talking about a country's food supply. And make no mistake, the reason those white people control the farmland in South Africa is because historically they're competent. They bought it, they maintained it for generations.
Okay, if they're competent. If they're so competent, why do they need cheap labor? Even today, they are no longer hiring South Africans, they are hiring Zimbabweans to make cheap labor. If they're so competent, really? And when you say they bought it, they bought it from who? Like, it's like me coming to you now and I sell you something in Sichuan. That they will say you go poreke selo kise sentle. We se sentle bona sentle. O tlo ntsheba so. You're going to look at me like this because you didn't hear a word I said. So how the fuck does people come from the UK, from Holland, speaking English or Dutch, and they meet people that doesn't know the language and they buy something from them? How does that work? Hey? How will you feel if your child will be sold something or somebody buys your car from your child? Exactly what happened. People came here buying stuff, and I've seen some Afrikaners in this country who are supremacists like him, producing some old documents of saying this is the contracts. I'm like, did the people who are signing this thing, did they know what was written on it? Hey? Did they know what they were signing? I mean, really, come on, guys. Are we really going to do this? Do they know what they were signing? No, they didn't know what they were signing. They didn't know what they were signing. They didn't know what was happening. Until such time, now guns are on their heads and they're driven out of that land, and then the people are staying there, just like the middle, what's this thing? Sorry. Just like the New Jersey of Middle East. What they did when they got there. They come in, they ask for food and a bed. Tomorrow when you come back from work, they're taking over the whole house. And they drive you out with guns. That's what these people did to us in this country.
Nobody handed it to them?
Yeah, they did. The very first people who came here and conquered us, they handed over to them. They didn't bring land from Britain. They didn't bring land from America. They didn't bring land from anywhere. They found it here.
Or maintained it for them? The fact that it's still fertile? Again, you can ruin...
Africa is fertile ever since from Cape to Cairo, except for Sahara Desert, obviously. African land is this is the only continent that's got all the seasons. All the tropical, whatever you want, you find it here. So don't ever put in your head, you talk as if Africans could not feed themselves before you guys came. Because if you're saying the land was made fertile by these people, sorry, we say fertile here because we are Africans. You say fertile. Okay. The reason why you want to imply that you're the ones who came here and made our country and our land fertile. You did not. You found a land that was already plowed by Africans, that was already maintained by Africans, that was already producing food for millions of Africans. And then how the hell do you come and say, it was maintained? No one maintained anything because the land already had plants on it. Literally, we're planting food for ourselves. Like, how the hell do you think Africans survived all these centuries, man? Before you guys can go out of your Caucasus Mountains and you came here and how do you think we survived? How did you think was eating? What we're eating? What, flies? We're eating what air and what? Really? Jesus Christ.
Farmland, it's still fertile, even by Don Lemon's own testimony. It's still fertile after generations. What does that mean? It means that they are properly managing the land. And in many cases, they were there long before black South Africans arrived and demanded their property.
Oh, fuck, sorry, man. That's another thing, eh? Before I can actually, sorry about this, guys. Okay, they were long here before all blacks came and demanded their property. Okay. Then who did they buy the land from, sir? Who did they buy? You said the land was bought earlier. Who did they buy the land from? If black people found white people here, which is a lie, a serious one, whoever came with that must be shot. Who did they buy the land from? I mean, if we found them here, if you buy something, Mr. Walsh, it must be from somebody else, right? So who did these people buy the land from if we found them here, already on the land? Are you saying to me that if you buy a house and I come and I find you in that house, are you going to offer to buy the very same house from me when I found you literally staying in that house, yours? Like, how dumb can you be? Like, How imbecile can you be, Mr. Walsh, to even say such a thing? That's the thing. That's the thing of being a white supremacist. You don't think. You think when you enter a room, your white skin must make you more superior before you can even open your mouth. That is the thing. Who did they buy the land from? If we found them here.
Now, in this debate, we are well past the point where the left can scream apartheid and just get whatever they want. Post-apartheid South Africa is simply too great of a disaster by every available metric. And by the way, apartheid was nothing like what's currently being enacted in South Africa. As we discussed the other day, there were far fewer race-based laws under apartheid than there are right now in South Africa. And the race-based laws under apartheid, by and large, were directed at enforcing racial separation, not large-scale farm seizures by the government without any limiting principle whatsoever.
Okay, does this man know anything? Does he know the Land Act of 1913? Let's first go back to what he said. Apartheid had fewer race-based laws than what we have today. Okay. Apartheid was a system that made sure that no black person will ever be successful in any shape or form. No black person will ever be the same standard of living like a white person. That was a system enforced on 90% of the population of this country by 10 or 20%. It was a system like that. It was not only a government, but it was a law. Apartheid itself was a law. They talk about race-based laws. Those race-based laws simply means, you know what they say? BEE, Black Economic Empowerment. We need to be equal to you in economic status. For them, that's a race-based law. Whereas their law that they had in apartheid was saying, you are superior than a black person. Let's just take literal stuff, like something literal. The SOEs, what we call the state-owned enterprise in this country, they were created solely to solve the poor white problem. There was this thing called poor whites. After World War II, there were white people who came from war and they were poor. So how to solve that that poverty of white people? They literally created companies that were owned by the state. And they imported skills to come and train these very white people. They literally handed them things when you didn't get nothing. At the moment, we are not saying stop from your jobs, you're going to put a black person there. No, we say continue with him, but let him become your equal. For them, that's a race-based law. For them, it's more of, I cannot compete with this person, he's black. I can't be equal to him, he's black. That is what they're saying, literally. I cannot be equal to this person because he's black. I mean, I'm white, I'm supposed to be up there. How can I come to an office and call a black person sir? He's supposed to be my maid or my gardener or my driver or my messenger in my company. I cannot really come to work and call a black person sir. I can't go, my kids can't be taught by a black teacher because they are black. So the so-called race-based laws are nothing, but all of them are there to make sure that we are equal to these people. All of them are there to make sure that we are equal to these people. Nothing else, nothing more. But because this man does not know what he's talking about, he will always perpetuate that lie that says race-based laws, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Unfortunately, people are falling for it because now if you go to X, which is formerly Twitter, oh my God, these people are out in arms. Oh, they're out in arms. There's one that was called Twitter Buzz. I don't know if you remember that. We did a show on him. He was one of these people who was saying there's persecution of white people in this country. And the guy worked for BNB. He was always posting pictures of nice sunset in my farm and whatever. I don't know, got from the internet. We found him out that he was actually working for his mother and father's BNB, bed and breakfast. I don't know what to call them in America, but yeah. I mean, if I was a supremacist, you're going to want to always say stuff and, you think people will believe you because you said that. Unfortunately, it's a lie. It's a lie. Let's continue.
makes the next move. Activists on the left know they have the losing argument in this debate, which is why they're now resorting to some of the most pathetic tactics imaginable. So the New Republic, for instance, just ran a story in which they dug up the old tweets of one of these white refugees. And we'll get to the bombshell, and let's see if you notice the big problem with this line of attack. Maybe you'll pick up on it. So the headline is, one of Trump's Afrikaner refugees is quite the anti-Semite. So yeah, they went rooting through his tweets to smear him, all because he's white and he's fleeing persecution.
No, man, they didn't swim him because he's white. They smeared him because he really did say anti-Semitic things. He did. They didn't try to say something that he didn't say. He did say it. He did say those things. And he did come and say, yes, I was young and I was stupid. He did. It's not because he's white. You don't care about your skin color. Your skin color is nothing anymore, man. It was okay then when you were oppressing us. But nowadays it's nothing. It's actually be a mark of shame to you at the moment that you actually use that to make yourself superior over anybody else.
South Africa, he's allegedly an anti-Semite, so he needs to go back. Now, of course, if this is the new standard for refugees, then, you know, I have very bad news about like 90% or more of the refugees that were admitted under the Biden administration. Muslims from the Middle East and Africa are not exactly big fans of Jewish people, generally speaking.
You know, one thing about this guy, what I'm going to say now, is that he likes whataboutism so much. What about this? What about that? He's going to mention the Somalians somewhere. And what about the Somalians? If I can say this, you know, a populist, a racist, a white supremacist will always try to play on your vanities, you know, as people, to try to gain your support. That's what he is. What does Islam have to do with anything else? With anything? What does Islam have to do with anything? The guys in Afrikaners don't like Jews. That's it. Why do you have to compare that with Islam? They didn't go to America to kill Jews. They didn't run away from their countries because they were running persecution. They were actually running literal, real persecution. That's why they're going to the US. And any other people that ran from their countries, they actually ran from actual crime and actual, not even crime, but actual persecution. Not this nonsense for people that went there for nothing. And he will always do that. He'll always try to throw these stupid examples of saying, oh, yeah, compared to this. That's got nothing to do with that, bro. Come on.
Okay. Even if a lot of them don't have Twitter, so you can't like go look, but it doesn't take long if you want to know how they feel on that subject. Wouldn't take much digging to find out. But the New Republic probably doesn't seem to realize how this would go, but it's pretty obvious. Meanwhile, other luminaries on the left are reduced to making explicit threats against these refugees, and here's one viral example. Watch.
Good morning. This is for the South Africans who are going to be entering the United States. This is just a public service announcement. I just wanted to make you aware that the Black people who were students during apartheid, we're grandmas and grandpas now, and we have the air of Gen Z. One more thing. I also want to let you know that our president, he has Secret Service. And you will not. I also want to tell you that Black people over here are empowered. I just want to, these are just public service announcements. When you get here, sit your ass down and don't touch nothing. Because you don't have Secret Service. Okay. Now have the day you deserve.
Now, this is not some random person, by the way. She has more than 100,000 followers on TikTok for some ungodly reason. And she's openly threatening these white refugees with murder solely on the basis of their skin color.
Okay. Come on, guys. Where did this woman threaten anybody with murder because they are white? Like, you see what I'm talking about? Like, What is that? What is that woman? Someone maybe show me. What is that woman really threatens people because of what? I mean, come on. You know, being a self-imposed, self-imposed victim. It's. I don't know. How can I call this one? Is it cowardly? Is it stupid? Like self-imposed. That's victim mentality of these white people that are putting for the. Because I'm gonna say white because he's speaking for white people. This self-imposed mentality, man. It's something else, eh? Like I don't understand. Like they are victims of their own making. You are the ones who went out there and created apartheid, created slavery, created everything else that befall the 90% of the world's population. No one asked you to leave your Europe, man, to come here. No one asked you to leave Europe to go to America. No one asked you to leave Europe to go to New Zealand or Australia or Canada. None. Nobody did. You left by yourselves to come there and destroy people's cultures and destroy them. Now you are crying, oh my God, here we are. We've been persecuted because of what we have done. Yeah. Like literally, where did this woman ask for people to be killed? Because of their white skin? Because she just tells them, listen, we know who you are. We know what you have done to our fellow black South Africans today. We know why you came here, because the reason why Americans are angry is because Trump administration closed each and every well-deserving refugee status of every country in the world where there's literal wars and persecutions and death and killing, but opened for these people because they are white, because Elon Musk is part of them and was in his ear. Tell him, listen, you have to, they are my people. Hence, this stupid old man fell for it and called people to come to the US. Not because of anything else. That's why these people are angry and saying, this is nonsense. There are people who deserve to be called refugees, who deserve asylum in this country, but then you take the very privileged ones, only because they're of the color of their skin. And this one has been saying the same thing, how you do this by the base of their skin. The reason why these people are taken into the US is because they are white, not because they are persecuted, not because of anything else, but because of the color of their skin. Only. That is why.
Which, by the way, is something you just never see. For all the talk about the anti-immigrant rhetoric on the right, there's nobody on the right going out and like just threatening to kill immigrants who are coming here. We might say, we're saying round them up, deport them if they're not here, if they shouldn't be here, enforce our immigration, enforce our laws. There's nobody saying that. There's like nothing like this is happening. All it takes is for a few white people to be admitted. And this is the kind of anti-refugee, anti-immigrant rhetoric we get from the left. It's like immediately all pretense is dropped and they're saying, yeah, we're going to go out and kill you. There's not even any attempt to sugarcoat it. She thinks that white people should die. And there are a lot of videos like this on TikTok at the moment.
Why did she say that? God almighty. Why did she say that? Why did she say white people must die? You lie like a typical Caucasian, bruh. You lie like a white supremacist. You lie like a white person. Literally. Wow. White people, I don't know you guys who are following this person. I hope to God that you don't. Yeah. But why did she say people must be killed? Show us.
Most of them adopt the same gleeful tone. We saw this with the Carmelo Anthony. We saw it with Rodney Hinton. And now we're seeing it here. And if you listen really carefully, by the way, you know, the most telling part of the video happens around the 31-second mark. Maybe go back and listen to it again. Turn the volume up. That's the moment where you can hear a very faint smoke alarm chirp in the background while this woman is threatening to murder white people. So, you know, the whole thing is just very on the nose. Actually, there is one exception here. Over at CNN, they've managed to fix the smoke detectors at least, but they definitely have not gotten rid of the genocidal anti-white commentators. So this again is on CNN. This is not on TikTok. And listen to what this woman says.
The people who are native to that land deserve their rightful land back. That is not what the Afrikaners actually want to have happen, which are the white Africans. And so who are not originally from Africa who colonized South Africa also. And so that is what they are saying is discrimination. Now, if the Constitution in South Africa is discriminatory, they have their checks and balances in that land just like we do. And that is for them to, so if the Afrikaners don't actually like the land, they can leave that country.
They are. They're leaving to come here.
No, they can
These
leave
refugees
and
are
go,
coming here.
They can actually leave and go to where their native land is, which is probably Germany.
Are you
or
against them coming here?
Holland, probably.
Holland.
Now, the obvious problem here is that despite being given a national television platform, this woman clearly has no idea what she's talking about. She thinks the Afrikaners came from Germany.
Okay, let me just give me a chance.
She's a complete imbecile, like pretty much everyone else on CNN. All she's interested in doing is demonizing white people, and she's going to do that one way or another every time she gets on television. But there's actually a bigger problem.
Okay, wait, before you can continue talking nonsense. One, there was never a thing called Afrikaners before 1652 in this world. Let's just say it out. There was never anything called an Afrikaner in this earth before 1652. I want to say this again on this camera. Who is that camera of mine? Come here. There was never anything called an Afrikaner in this earth before 1652. When the Dutch people came from Europe, they were never Afrikaners. They were speaking Dutch. There was never Afrikaans as a language. Let me teach this person. They came there, they left there, they were running away, by the way. They didn't even come here as an explorer, exploring the beauty of nature, the beauty of Africa, bringing, they came here as refugees. They came here running away because they were persecuted. They were called Huguenots, if I'm not mistaken. They came there running from religious persecution amongst their own white people. They were killing each other because of their different religions. Whatever they believe that was, I don't give a fuck. I don't know about it. That's why they came here. Van Riebeck was a refugee. He was actually not a refugee. He was, what's his name? He was running from the law, something like that. That's why they came here. They were never called Afrikaners. They were Dutch from Holland. The Afrikaner thing came when they now wanted to be part of this. They wanted now to own this thing. They called themselves Afrikaners from the word Africa. And they developed a language called Afrikaans. So that is a combination, is a dialect of 3 European languages. Dutch, German, and French. There was never Afrikaans in this earth before 1652. There was never Afrikaans in this earth before 1652. So it's not even an original culture. It's not even an original people that we can say, oh my God, of course. Like the British and the Portuguese and the Brazilians and whatever. And like me, they were never there. If the Dutch didn't leave Holland to come here, we will never have people called Afrikaners in this earth. But they left, they came here, they evolved into this kind of so-called race called Afrikaners. And they have this language called Afrikaans. It's not even a language, it's a dialect, it's an abstract. It was created from 3 different European languages. Dutch, which is the main one, German, and French. Where's that thing? Okay, here we go. Google is your friend, bro. Google is your friend. Try using it for a little while. Shit.
With this woman's response. I mean, let's pretend for a second that the Afrikaners actually did come from Germany. She's implying that in that scenario, the white people could go back there and she'd be fine with that.
Yeah, they should. You're always telling black people to go back to Africa, and you're not. You're white supremacists in America. They can go back as well. And we'll be fine with it, yes.
But of course, she wouldn't be fine with that. The left would not be fine with that. Take a look at what the left has done to Germany in the last couple of decades. If you don't believe that, I mean, it's unrecognizable. And any white person who complains is immediately labeled far right. They're condemned as white supremacists. The National Security Service has opened counter-terrorist investigations in every single one of them. And the same is true, of course, in this country. So This is the funny thing about who is considered native or not, who is considered an invader or not. CNN commentators have no problem announcing that white people whose ancestors have been in the country for 20 generations should go back home if they're in South Africa. But try telling the Somalis of Minnesota to go back home.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Try telling Somalis to go back home. Like, seriously, what does that have to do with anything? You saying that will make you a clear white supremacist. And how the hell are you going to come and tell other immigrants, such as yourself, to go back where they come from? Whereas you yourself is an immigrant. I don't give a damn if your people have been there for 20, 50 centuries, bruh. The fact is, it's not their land. They came there. God didn't put them there. God put you, your whole white race, on Europe. Inside those Caucasus Mountains. That's why you call yourself Caucasians. Inside those, sit there, leave the other world to continue. When you came out, you had to go out and conquer people's lands and call yourself a native. What about the Red Indians in America, bro? Are they natives to that country? Or they're just cultural damage, cattle fodder? What is it? Like this guy, does he hear, whenever he speaks, does he really hear himself? Or is it just, he just loves the sun? Or is someone writing a script for this person? Maybe he's reading something, because I'm not having any auto cue here. All I'm saying is from my head. So maybe he's reading something there. Maybe Ben Shapiro wrote him some notes to say, hey, listen, you're going to say this. But it doesn't make any sense. He doesn't make any fucking sense. He's talking nonsense. He's trying to stoke the fears and the flames of hatred that he's born with. And maybe, not maybe, he grew up like that, you know. They really made him to believe that. Yeah. Let's continue.
You'll be immediately labeled a far-right bigot, even though the Somalis have been here for at most a couple of decades.
Why would you tell other people to leave unless you're an immigrant yourself? If I live with you. We'll part ways. I go to Somaliland and you go to Europe. At least Somalians know where they come from. Do you know where you come from, sir? Like, do you know where you come from? Literally so. If I can say, let's trace back the Walsh family from you up until the beginning of the Walsh person who came to the US. Do you guys know where you come from? Would you go back and say, oh, fuck, I'm home? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. At least the Somalians will go back to Somalia and say, hey, fuck, I'm home. Hey, how's it? Then go back again. This world is not a white man's world, brother. It's a world for everybody to stay wherever they want. So long as they don't have to come to that piece of land and take it over by force and kill people, then hey, they're fine.
Some have been here for a couple of hours, but we're told that the Somalis have every right to be here.
Yeah, they have. They do.
That we're told the Somalis, the moment they step foot here,
yes,
they are just as American as anyone else.
Yes, they are.
The moment the Somali steps foot in this country, they're just as American as you, even if your family's been here for 400 years.
It doesn't make any difference.
And yet the white South Africans are not South African.
They are not.
Even after 400 years.
Yes, they are not.
And Americans who can trace their lineage back several centuries, they just have to shut up and take it in this country.
You can do that. It doesn't make you an American. It makes you an invader of America. It makes you somebody who came to America with a gun and a Bible and killed Red Indians with smallpox. Yo, by the way, somebody corrected me in my last video with this one. It's like, it's not chicken, but it's small. Oh, God, thank you so much for the correction of history. It doesn't take away the reason why you genocided Red Indians in the U.S. Whether I say smallpox, chickenpox, doesn't make any difference. You infect them deliberately with a disease that will destroy nearly all of them. Nearly all of them. Then you say they can do that. It doesn't make them American. It makes them immigrants who came 4, 5, 6 centuries ago. That's it.
No matter where they are, maybe you've noticed white people, no matter where they are always the colonizers.
Yes, they are. They are colonizers. No white person has ever went to any country in this world and said, let's all live harmoniously together. They came to conquer. They came to steal, conquer, and destroy. That is the truth. Whether we like it or not, that is the truth. They never come to a country to say, let's build all of us together. Look what they did in this country. New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America, where you are today. Where are the Red Indians, man? Where are the indigenous people of this continent? Where are they? They're in reserves somewhere there. They're put inside this, they're put in reserves. You guys must actually, whenever you see a Red Indian, you must actually sit there, stop, salute him, or bow, because he's actually the rightful owner of that land. The rightful owner of that land. You should do that.
And have no legitimate claim to whatever land they're on.
Yes, they don't. Because it's not their land. It's not their land. Why should they have a legitimate claim on a land that's not theirs? It's not their land. So they cannot really claim that land because it's not theirs to claim in the first place. They can claim Europe. And you must listen to what he says. He's going to try to bring this thing off. And if white people can go back to where they come from then, and when they say that is their place, they'll be called racist. Yes. Do you know why? Because first and foremost, if that's what you say, how can I put this? If maybe that's what you say defines being white, being separate from other people, being racist, being apartheid minded, then that is a bad thing to do, bro. But if white people, we come to Europe and they welcome us and we all work together, there's nothing wrong with that. But if we come to Europe and they still call us Africans and blacks and go back to Africa and all those things, those ones are like you, they are racist.
In other words, under the left's framework, white people are the only demographic on the planet that can never be considered truly at home or native to any country anywhere.
Yeah.
We'll be told that a white person's true home is Western Europe.
Yes.
And yet, if any white person in the UK claimed that it was a white country, they'd be condemned.
Yeah, it depends. If they say it's a white country in racist connotations, they'll be condemned. It's called evolution. If you are saying white people can only describe themselves, like I said earlier, by being white supremacists, then they will be condemned.
They say to us in America that this isn't our land, right? It's stolen. So where is our land?
Western Europe.
They will not follow that to its conclusion and say that, well, Europe is the white man's land. They're not going to say that. So where is it?
White man's land in what way, man? In you doing what exactly? Okay.
The message is that there is literally no place on earth that white people can claim as a legitimate homeland. A white man is native to nowhere.
Yeah.
He is indigenous to nowhere.
Yes, except Europe.
I mean, that's strange, isn't it?
No.
How does that work?
Europe.
Like, have you noticed that there's no country on the planet with white indigenous people?
Yes, there are none. Because there are none. Man, come literally, there is no country except for Europe that white people are indigenous to. Hey, indigenous simply means were you created on that continent or like in that country, were you put there by God? You are a Christian yourself. You're supposed to know what God is. Look, literally God did this. He took the Red Indians and put them in America. He took the Mexicans, put them in Mexico. He took the Brazilians and all that and put them in the rainforest and all that. He took blacks, me, he put it in Africa. He took Europeans like him into Europe, and he put Chinese in China and Vietnamese and all that people there in Asia. He literally took Indians, 1 billion of them, he put them in India. He took all the Arabs to join that whole Middle Eastern nonsense, Middle Eastern thing. Before this, white people can go and create Pakistan from India, by the way. He put them there. He said, multiply. He never said, leave your country and conquer other people and want to say, oh, I'm indigenous to this. No, you're not. I can't say I'm indigenous to India. I can go there for 15 centuries. That doesn't make me indigenous to India. It makes me an African in India. Black people have been in America for how many years now? They're still called African Americans. These ones are not called European Americans. They're called Americans. What the fuck is that? They are called Americans, literally Americans, not called African Americans, which is nonsense. Because they are European Americans. They are from Europe, all of them. So no man can claim land that is not his to say it's his. Much as a black person can claim Europe to become the natives of Europe. You make sure that you remind them every day that they're from Africa. When it comes to you, you cry like a fucking bitch and say, no, we can't do this. Jesus.
How is that possible? Where did the white people come from? Did they fall out of the sky like rain? Did they magically spawn out of thin air?
You said it. Western Europe, bro. They're from there. Western Europe, yeah, like Europe, England, European countries that are still white today, French, whatever. Yeah, they're from there.
If a white person could trace his roots back to the 17th century in this country, does that make him a Native American?
No, it does not.
I mean, at what point can the white person say, yeah, I am native to this country? How many centuries does he need to be? Does his family need to be in a country to be native to it?
Okay, you don't have to be centuries to be in a place, but you just have to face the fact that you are from Europe, that's it. You can be here for 15 centuries, you are not native to that place, whether you like it or not. Much as you can be able to tell black people the same goes to you. Sorry, you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it, brother. You have to, you can't. You literally can't.
How many generations? 10, is that enough? No, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, is that enough? At that point, can we say we're native to this country? And if the answer is, well, there's no amount of time, if the answer is that, well, it could be 1,000 years from now, and a white person who's been here for more than 1,000 years, their family's been here for 1,000 years, still is not native to this country in America. If that's the answer, then again, where is his native homeland? And if he goes there, can he claim the title of native or indigenous?
He can, my brother. We don't care about that. He can. It's fine. He can.
He say that the non-natives are invading or stealing? Well, the left has no answer to any of those questions. And the reason is that the terms native and colonizer and invader and indigenous are all just tools of manipulation. They don't mean anything.
How they mean everything? Britain colonized America, colonized Europe, they colonized New Zealand, they colonized Canada, they colonized almost 70% of the world. Britain. That's why they're colonizers. Okay? It literally means that you come from your country, you take it over the other country, and then you rule over them. That's how you guys came to the US, by the way, Mr. Walsh. The America, do you remember the War of Independence? What were they fighting to be independent from? Did they teach you that in school? The American War of Independence in 1788 or 1789, when the French helped, while the time Louis XVI was a king, they were literally fighting Britain to be independent as a country today. It's like a child fighting his father to get out of his house to make his own house. You literally was fighting each other to claim land that's not yours. How did you think that war between the North and South was about? Eh? White people killing each other for what? For land that's never theirs?
And of course, white people get this treatment even though they actually bring innovation, advancement, and infrastructure.
No, they don't. A lot of those so-called innovations were black-owned and they were never given credit because they were black. So please, don't even do that. Take Google and check. The air conditioner, the peanut butter, everything that has been in this earth has been made by, even the telephone, for goodness sakes. They give it this to Graham Bell. Whereas he saw that idea from his slave when he made the Dixie cups, 2 Dixie cups with a line in between for these kids to play and to talk to each other, even though they're in the opposite side of the house. That motherfucker took that thing and then he took that invention and made a telephone. And every credit went to him. He didn't say, no, but this idea was from this guy. So they didn't bring anything. They bring disaster. They bring sickness. They bring in, look at the Congo. Look at the Congo now. Those people are mining cobalt, everything, it goes where? And who owns those exports? White. Our mines in this country here are owned by them. Their job is to exploit and to steal and to suck out the lifeblood of every country and make themselves powerful. Britain's got no minerals to speak of. None. Even the US has got none. But they've got all the gold and all the diamonds from this continent to keep the economies running. France can't even keep their lights on without any of the former French colonies. As we speak today, white savages, white leeches that are leeching their lifeblood from this continent and any other piece of the king of this world. Don't you dare come and say white people are bringing innovation and whatnot. What fucking innovation is that? White supremacy? Create colonies? Hunger, starvation, death? Jesus Christ. Talk about someone who likes the sound of their own voice, eh? There's the man.
Everywhere they go. and then when they're kicked out, you know, what happens? I mean, very often that infrastructure is not maintained. Look at what happened after Portugal gave back Mozambique or Angola. Look at South Africa. Look at Zimbabwe.
Yeah, let's talk about those countries that you just mentioned. You mentioned Mozambique. Mozambicans, I was in Mozambique in 2001 and I asked them how was it, and they literally said to me, the Portuguese, when they left, they literally clogged the drains with concrete. They went to Maputo, they opened up the drains and they poured concrete literally in the drains to clog the sewage system of the city so that the city must be inhabitable. They said you are never going to enjoy what you have created. So they destroyed the city. They salted the land. Here in South Africa, they tried to salt the land. They failed. Here, they could not destroy any infrastructure because they were still living here. Angola, any country with no white people, they literally destroyed the buildings and everything else. Put fire to buildings, do whatever, just to make sure when they leave, they don't leave nothing. It's not because it was destroyed by us. Zimbabwean economy was destroyed by the West, the very British government and America. Not because of black people. Savages, to say the least. Savages, to say the least. Read your history, bro.
Total disrepair has followed when the alleged colonizers are kicked out. And that's just a historical fact. And why might that be? Well, that's a question you're definitely not supposed to ask. But recently I saw someone who's an African who took a crack at addressing this point. It's interesting. Let's watch.
What is the one word in Igbo for maintenance?
Maintenance is there's no direct English word for that. It doesn't translate directly to maintenance.
That's correct. How about you?
It doesn't translate.
That's correct.
But it translates to like take care of.
No, that's not maintenance. What is the one word for repair in Igbo?
Imezi.
Exactly. What is the one word for repair in You see, I'm driving you to somewhere. What is the one word for democracy in Igbo language? You don't. How about you? You don't. You're trying to practice something that is not in the concept of the language. There is no African country, and I've done it through Kenya, I've done it all, that has an equivalent of the word maintenance.
Well, in order to maintain something, you have to have it first, correct?
No, if I leave it for you, you can maintain it. The British left a lot of things in this country when they left. They established the hospitals, they established the fire stations, the post offices, the railway lines, the roads they built before they left. You are not able to maintain it because you don't have that concept. Well, because your environment, the tropical environment of Africa, the way you build your houses, the material you use, you don't require maintenance. Every country that is called industrialized countries, today one of the things you know about them is maintenance of what they have. That's why we have buildings here that are about 250 years old, 300 years old in this country. There are buildings in other countries of Europe that are 700 years ago. The Notre Dame that burned in France was a 13th century building. Do you know what kept it that long till today? Maintenance is a culture.
Now, this is one of those conversations that if you were leading South Africa at the moment, you'd probably want to take pretty seriously. Maybe you take a step back and wonder if 30 years of black supremacy and white hatred is really an optimal substitute for maintaining.
Did you just say black supremacy and white hatred? This motherfucker must go to Cape Town, eh? Yeah.
maintaining the roads and the farms and the power grid. Maybe you'd recognize that if you don't even value the concept of maintenance, then inevitably you're going to have a collapse. That's what inevitably will happen. And it's pretty clear in South Africa that they don't value maintenance at all, which is why they are taking the people who've maintained fertile farmland that everyone recognizes as fertile and expelling them from it without any real plan of like, how are we going to make food now? So this is what happens if you demonize a handful of productive people who are sticking around. But of course, no one in South Africa is asking these questions at the moment. Instead, they're demonizing the white people who are already out the door. And that means that very soon, those white people will have a lot of company. I mean, South Africa is about to lose the few farmers it has left. No country in human history has ever survived something like that. And South Africa, the ultimate embodiment of DEI, will be no different.
All right. Okay, I think we have enough of this guy. That's where his thing ended, anyhow. Okay. Let's go back to that little Nigerian thing that he's trying to put as if Nigeria is for all Africans and Igbo, was it Igbo? Is the whole continent's language. Just because some other African person asked Nigerians, one Nigerian asked other Nigerians about their own concept of what is a word, does not mean that all of us as Africans, we do not know or have a concept of that word. For example, I don't speak Igbo. I don't even know what Igbo is. Nigeria is very far from South Africa. It's like up there and we're like down here. There is Nigerians here, but there is no language called Igbo here. So if they don't have the concept of, or they don't have the word in Igbo that translates to maintenance, that is their problem. Maintenance is an English word. Not all words will have in our own native languages that will really say or speak anything of it. Kastswana, that the Walsh. Maintaining something, ke go tlhokomela selo. Eating, in my language, I've got a concept of maintenance. And I'm a Tswana. I'm not an Igbo. That's how your ignorance ran deep, by just picking out as you pick up, you don't play the whole clip. You pick and choose what you think you can make your point. To drive whatever white supremacy ideas in your head, to think that if you say this, it might sound correct. Maintenance in Setswana ke go tlhokomela. My father gives me a bicycle and he says, tlhokomela soseo. That means maintain it. Make sure that it runs well. Make sure that it's always clean. Make sure that the tires are well kept. Make sure that the chain's always greased. You know, that is maintenance. Go tlhokomela ka Setswana. That is my native language in this country. So whatever point you're trying to run and to put across, to say that Africans cannot do something they don't have a concept of, that is bullshit. And that's a typical racist mind. It's a typical racist mind that you have, unfortunately. That you have. So, however you guys will try to berate Africans and try to make us feel small and try to make us feel as if, you know what, we are incompetent and try to make us feel as if we are nothing, we'll always rise above. Will always rise. There will always be Africans that rise. You can take whatever. You can try to make us feel small. You can try to make us feel that we're incompetent. We are not. I mean, the first heart surgeon who was anyway, let me leave that. It's fine. Innovations that he says was brought white people. I don't know which ones are those. Maybe somebody can show me. Because the last time I checked, Aircon was a black person. All of these things, a lot of things was black. And actually, I had somebody in the comments of my last video that says I'm using equipment built by whites. I'm like, show me which white person made this mic. This one. I'm like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to buy it because it's bought by whites? Are you crazy? I want to use them against you. It's fine. Let me buy them to use them against you. And then he says black supremacy and white hate. I don't know which hate is he talking about and which supremacy is talking because I've never seen any black supremacist somewhere. Unless you guys can show me a black supremacist that you saw somewhere, and I've never seen one of those people. There is nothing like a black supremacist anyway. We only wanted things to be equal between us and you people. And you know that. We only wanted things to be equal. But now you are crybabies. You create a system that destroyed everything in this country. And then when things are tried to become to made equal, you still cry victim. No, we can't have this. We cannot have these people being part of us. We can't have these people being part of. We cannot be equal to these people. It's wrong. I want to be supreme. I want to be a supremacist. I don't want these people. Yeah. Anyway, that's what we have in this country, guys. 49 people left this country under the guise of being refugees, and the white people in America being so stupid and gullible, they fell for it. And these people are now acting victims, that they are victims of some so-called genocide, which I don't know what genocide is that. Genocide is in Gaza as we speak. None of this, especially Matt Walsh, will never speak about Gaza and what's happening in Gaza now, because if he does dare say that, he'll be fired from Daily Wire, and unfortunately. Today, one of his tweets was saying, we must stop talking about other people, we must talk about America first. And I said to him, because you are a coward to talk about what's happening in Gaza, because if you do that, you are fired in Daily Wire. Matt Walsh is nothing but just a white supremacist. You have seen Mehdi Hassan describe him very nicely in the last video we made. He's a white supremacist who thinks that his color of his skin is what really gives him the license to do anything. He thinks just by being white, he is supreme. By being pink-skinned, he's supreme. And me by being dark brown skin, and I've got both of the best of both worlds. I'm white. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, it's fine. I hope you guys will subscribe and share this. And comment below. Somebody was saying, imagine an African. Hey, I love those comments. Jesus. I want to go back and do a comment section like Cooper used to do for Daily Wire. I just go to comments and I just analyze comments. This person is saying, imagine an African trying to tell Americans about their history. I'm like, okay, what is that supposed to mean, an African telling Americans their own history? Well, they're lying. Some of us can read. You can take that and read and say, that's nonsense. It's so amazing that people still think that they are high above others in this day and age. 2025, guys. Really now, come on. 2025, you still think that you are the best thing that ever happened to us since sliced bread. Really? You still think that? Now? Okay, I've come to the end of this show now, man. Thank you so much for taking your time and your data to really watch us. I hope that, let me do this. I hope that, God Almighty. I hope that you will comment and tell me what you think. Please, I welcome every comment. I don't care what kind of comment is that. I welcome any comment that will come in. The more you comment, the more this show will be shared by you guys. And I hope Mr. Walsh watches me and responds. I hope so. I hope he responds. That would be great, eh? Imagine this man responding to me. Anyhow, Bon, I love you so much. And this is Kgosi FM. We've just made a nice video again from studios in Pretoria West. And thanks so much for taking your time and your data to watch me. Please comment below, share, like, subscribe. I will see you definitely on the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.